What it do, Friar Faithful? Welcome to the very first episode of the Filthy Friars podcast. It's your boy, the 10th man from Fire Friar Talk. And today was, it's kind of there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of rumors are swirling around. The people on the trade block, Nick Pavetta, Adrian Morejon, Estrada. There's a lot of talks that were in trade talks with the Mets, and serious talks about multiple different reports also stating today that the Padres are in serious more than ever, or in deeper more than ever, in some intense trade talks for starting pitching. You know how it is. It is the off season. It is these reporters' jobs to get the clickbait going, get people talking. But some of these people, some of these talks are just being made up. Some of these guys are in the thick of things. They are hearing things. So it's very interesting that hasn't let up. Still been hearing that we're trading with the Mets. So we'll see. Pending more to come. But I was, as you know, on firefriartalk.com. There's a bunch of articles that I've written throughout the season, and I wrote this article, but I haven't posted it on firefriartalk.com yet. But I was just thinking a lot with all of this stuff going on, with all these trade talks, and AJ Preller seeming to be in the middle of everything. And I from what I've seen from the fan base, it is very split on how they feel about AJ Preller. There's a lot of people that love him. I'm one of the ones that I really defend him at every point, at every part. I love AJ Preller. I think AJ Preller is a genius. I think he's the only one who's been trying to really bring something here to San Diego. He's always trying. He's never sleeping. He's a baseball rat. And so I appreciate him, but I believe there's a very, very big split in feelings towards AJ Preller. And so I wrote this about a week ago, and it's called I'm gonna read it, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. And so it's called the hindsight paradox. How one decision may have changed the trajectory of San Diego baseball, Padres baseball forever. So every franchise has a moment, one decision, one crossroads, one signature change that fans look back on and ask, what if? For the San Diego Padres, that moment hides quietly in the early 2010s, buried between ownership turnover, front office chaos, and a vision of what the organization desperately wanted to become. And it begins with a name almost forgotten in San Diego, yet celebrated everywhere else he's gone. Josh Burns. From 2011 to 2014, Burns held the title of General Manager of the San Diego Padres, a period most fans remember as transitional, unclear, and in many ways overshadowed by what came after. But today, when we look back with hindsight, something becomes unmistakably fascinating. Did the Padres already have the right architect in place? And did they let him walk right into the hands of their biggest rival? The John Moore era, a foundation built the right way. Before the Fowler-Seidler era, San Diego had an owner who truly cared about the city, John Moores. Moores invested heavily in Petco Park, over $100 million out of his own pocket, helping secure baseball in downtown San Diego. He hired Bruce Bochy, supported Kevin Towers, and oversaw an era where homegrown talent mattered and scouting was valued. And in 2011, under Moore's leadership structure, the Padres hired Josh Burns, a highly respected baseball mind who had been part of the 2003 Boston Red Sox front office that broke the curse and delivered a World Series. He brought pedigree. He brought a modern analytical approach. He brought a long-term vision. The problem, the Padres were about to enter an ownership earthquake, the change of power and the change of plans. When Ron Fowler and Peter Seidler entered the picture in 2013, everything in the organization shifted. Their arrival was a blessing for San Diego. New resources, a new direction, and new ambition. But changes in ownership also always bring changes in personnel. In 2014, 1 year after Fowler and Seidler took over baseball operations, Josh Burns was fired. His tenure lasted just 3 seasons. His vision was never fully realized, and his fingertips were quickly wiped away. And the man chosen to replace him would define the next decade. A.J. Preller. The Preller Revolution and the Prospect Drain. There's no question that AJ Preller brought excitement, aggressiveness, and front page national attention to San Diego. He turned the Padres into a destination, helped secure superstar talent, delivered postseason runs, and revived baseball culture in the city. But with hindsight, we can't avoid the other side of the story. When Preller arrived, he dismantled a farm system that Josh Burns had been building carefully and patiently. Here are just a few of the prospects drafted or acquired under Burns who moved under Preller. Trey Turner, he became a multiple-time All-Star, batting champion, World Series champion. Max Fried, Cy Young finalist, ace of the Atlanta Braves, and a World Series champion. Zach Eflin, a top-tier starting pitcher, postseason force. All three became impact stars elsewhere. None ever wore a Padres uniform, or none wore a Padre uniform for long. Would Burns have traded them? We'll never know. But it's clear that Burns valued development and long-term sustainability, and those three names alone could have formed the backbone of a homegrown dynasty. The alternate timeline: what if Josh Burns stayed? Here's where hindsight gets wild. When the Padres fired Burns, he wasn't unemployed for long. Andrew Friedman of the Los Angeles Dodgers hired him immediately, not eventually, not months later, immediately. Friedman, one of the greatest front office minds of the modern era, identified something in Burns that the Padres no longer valued. And since joining the Dodgers in 2014, Burns has won 3 World Series rings with LA. He's played major roles in scouting, research and development, and player personnel, become a vital architect in arguably the most consistently dominant organization in baseball. He built depth pipelines that never dry up, helped construct rosters that win 95-plus games like clockwork. Meanwhile, in that time period, San Diego, despite flashes of brilliance, remains without a World Series championship. The irony cuts very deep. The man the Padres fired became one of the key people helping the Dodgers dominate the National League. Was this one of the biggest mistakes in Padres history? It's impossible not to ask. If Josh Burns stayed, would the Padres be the Dodgers right now? Would the homegrown core have been Turner, Fried, Eflin, Hedges, Forsythe, plus the waves of prospects still coming through the Barnes pipeline? Would the Padres have built a sustainable winner rather than cycling through reboots? Would San Diego have captured its first World Series by now? There's no guaranteed answer, but the resume speaks for itself. Josh Barnes, 4 World Series rings with the Red Sox and the Dodgers. AJ Preller, 0 World Series appearances as GM. And that contrast forces the question: did the Padres let their future walk out of the door in 2014? The present day and the final chapter not yet written. Here's the twist: the story isn't over. AJ Preller is still here. The Padres still have a core capable of winning. The city is desperate for the championship Peter Seidler dreamed of delivering. And sometimes in baseball, the story that looks like a mistake in hindsight becomes the setup for the greatest redemption arc of all. Could A.J. Preller still be the one to finish the job? Could he be the GM who finally brings San Diego its first World Series trophy? History hasn't closed the book, but the hindsight will always remain. One decision in 2014 may have changed everything for San Diego, for Los Angeles, and for the rivalry that defines the West. That was written by me, Fire Friar Talk, the 10th man, and that was the difficult one when I was working on that because I was talking to my boy Joe about this. We got hung up on the phone, and I got this idea. Let me write about the compare and contrast about these two because we kind of are both of this. He likes AJ Preller, but he doesn't like him as much as I do, and we kind of disagree on some things about Preller. He in some way says that Preller kind of has ruined us, and he's too impulsive, and he doesn't like. He gets upset about Preller in that manner sometimes, and I guess I understand where he's coming from. So we're split on sometimes on topics when it comes to AJ Preller or things that we think. So, but I I wanted to bring up this message from one of my followers. I'm not going to call him out. I mean, although I know he's probably going to be upset that I didn't call him out because he loves it. I love talking ball with the followers and everything. So shout out to my boy right here. But he really, really doesn't like AJ Preller, and I find a lot of the times we're talking and I'm trying to I'm defending Preller all the time with this guy, and I posted a tweet that AJ Preller was going to be extended before Craig Stammen got brought in as the manager. Didn't happen, but so to this response on Instagram, the follower said AJ just always needs to do the big moves, and when you do that, you open yourself up to big mistakes and big overpays. Young, controllable starting pitchers are the most desirable players in the league, and we give away two good ones for Freddie Fermin. Not the worst trade, but we need them, and instead of doing that, we could have paid for a catcher for once and had some inexpensive, solid pitching. I agree with that. I agree. I told him I agree with the catcher part, and he said he's had so many opportunities to pay for a catcher, and he's never executed. Gary Sanchez, even Alfaro would have been a benefit in the clubhouse. We need a cohesive team, and catcher is such an important position. The financial mismanagement all contributes to that. That's why I am just done with Preller. And it's literally us, the fans, who pay for his blunders. $20 beers is fucking ridiculous. Almost 100% collectively increases to season ticket prices since 2022. It's just getting old for me. And then giving player friendly contracts to players and then not having the money to re sign them. It's a financial mess, and we're the ones getting squeezed, and we can't even keep a manager. I'm not a pessimist. I love the pods. I know it seems like I'm just a hater, but watching this team closely for the past 15 years has been a slow moving train wreck. Oh my goodness. I told him I agree, but I don't think a lot of that is AJ. I think if AJ Preller wasn't here the last 11 years, none of this would be the way it is. And he said, if you can't blame the personnel and coaching issues on the man that signs off on every one of those hires, not to mention signing off on every player contract, I don't know who else you can possibly blame. Who else? We also don't know where we'd be if we didn't have Preller, or if Preller didn't try to screw over other teams with the Pomeranz trade. There are still GMs plus owners in the MLB who refuse to deal with him because of that. He should have been fired on the spot. He should have gone to jail for that. And I was just like, no, he should not have gone to jail for that. But I do agree he is definitely sketchy sometimes. But you know who else is sketchy? Bill Belichick, and he has 7 rings. He got caught cheating multiple times. Imagine all the other times we didn't see it. I appreciate Preller because all he wants to do is win. That is 100% his focus, 100% of the time. You will not get a GM who gives you that type of attention to the team, and you will not find the general manager with that type of expertise. He has an eye for talent both internationally and nationally. When he came here, he changed everything immediately with the Seidler and the Fowler partnership that came in and took over the Padres, where they brought in AJ Preller. He sold everybody, all the prospects, because none of those prospects were his guys. He made a huge splash. Granted, it didn't work out, obviously, but on paper, everything was amazing. And those players performing at that right time. I mean, like, we had Derek Norris. Derek Norris ended up shitting the bed. Justin Upton was supposed to be good. He just wasn't such a good team guy. And then Matt Kemp lied about his physical and his arthritis, had bad hips. Bob Melvin ended up being a liar as well and said that his dream job was to be in San Francisco, so his heart was never even here. Another deception. Now it turns out Mike Schilt was a lunatic, or he has mental health problems, whichever way. It's just not on Preller again. Like, I just, Preller got another deception on Preller, and like everything was lined up and perfect when when Peter Seidler was still alive, and now that he's gone, AJ is moving mountains to make this team better. There's no other general manager that is working this relentlessly. If AJ Preller went to the Los Angeles Dodgers with all those resources, who became I seriously think that they wouldn't lose for the next 20 years. I don't disagree that he had made bad moves, but what general manager hasn't made bad moves? They're not all going to be great moves, but in the last 11 years, You look at where we were 11 years ago and where we were now, and it's a drastic change, and that's all because of the relentless work of AJ Preller. You say you've been watching this team for the last 15 years. You cannot deny the difference in baseball and the difference in the club, the difference in the atmosphere, the difference in the stadium, the difference in the city, the way the city supports the team and has love for the team. The team has changed drastically, and the city has changed drastically under AJ, and you cannot deny that. He didn't say anything to that, but I think he. See, we went back and forth on that, and I do understand what he's saying. And if anybody didn't know kind of the sketchy thing that he's talking about, that he said he should have been jailed for, AJ Preller, turns out, back when we had Drew Pomeranz, I want to say it was around 16, 17, we were making a trade with the Red Sox to send him over there, get him out of here, and it turns out AJ Preller had two medical books. One medical book for in-house with the player's actual injuries, and then another book that was for other teams to look at when there was going to be trades. So they would look at that one. Didn't give all the details on all the injuries. So he had the two books. So when the Red Sox wanted to trade for Drew Pomeranz, they looked at that book, the book for the teams, and it didn't disclose all of his injuries. And then when he went to Boston, he ended up getting hurt right away, and they were tripping about his injury. They contacted San Diego, asked him, "Yo, Preller, what the hell's going on, man? We made this trade. This dude is hurt." And it kind of happened a few times. Also happened with the Marlins. So Preller is kind of some say sketchy, I say trying, Bill Belichick is sketchy, is he? But he's a champion, and he just got caught a few times. And Preller got caught too, I'm sure a lot of people do sketchy things like that. But I'm willing to look past that, and I look past that because I think I just think it just shows you his personality, the dog in him. Like, he's willing to do anything. Like, I know it's bad. It sounds bad. That's a shitty move. That's a horrible move. That's it's not ethical. It's very wrong in multiple ways. But just to show you, man, this guy will stop at nothing. Today I saw we just signed. Who did we sign? Tristan McKenzie. Since 2020, he's had a 4.01 ERA and 442 MLB innings with Cleveland. Today signs with the San Diego Padres on a minor league contract. He's been. Why not? Why not? Why not sign Tristan McKenzie? McKenzie used to be a dog. Back in 2020, prior to that, he was a dog with the Cleveland Guardians, man, and he's still very young. He's 28 years old. Why not take a chance on someone like this? Tristan McKenzie, 28 years old. Why not? This is a flyer. This is a great move. He was actually, I think, I think he got cut a couple seasons ago, and I was thinking Preller was going to sign him, but nobody ended up picking this guy up. But this is definitely a Preller move right here. This guy's only 28 years old. We could revive his career. He could come back. So a lot of interesting signings lately for AJ Preller. Some of the latest transactions we have: the San Diego Padres signed free agent catcher Blake Hunt to a minor league contract. That was on the 16th. San Diego Padres signed free agent right-handed pitcher Nathaniel Jacinto to a minor league contract. San Diego Padres signed free agent right-handed pitcher Albierius Polanco to a minor league contract. Washington Nationals purchased the contract of right-handed pitcher Elker Huizi in the Rule 5 draft in the AAA phase, so we lost that player. Chicago Cubs purchased contract of third base Devin Ortiz in the Rule 5 draft from the AAA phase. He was down with the El Chihuahua Pasos, I believe. And he was all right. He was a third baseman, but, it is what it is. Lost those young guys. That's part of the Rule 5 draft. San Diego Padres signed free agent right-handed pitcher Dyson Acosta. Let's fucking go, San Diego. And a transaction live while we're doing this. In the middle of recording this podcast, this breaking news: Michael King is back. He will be signing with the San Diego Padres. He will be there it's a 3-year, $75 million contract. Oh my goodness. Breaking news. It contains $12 million. It's a $12 million signing bonus, a 2026 salary of $5 million, and a $28 million player option for 2027 with a $5 million buyout and a $30 million player option for 2028. Wow. Oh my goodness. So this last season, Michael King pitched 73.1 innings to a 3.44 ERA 1.2 whip, 76 Ks to 26 walks. So, wow, it could effectively be just a 1 year, $22 million contract, a 2 year, $45 million contract, or a 3 year, $75 million contract, depending on however he plays it. Just depends on on if he performs well enough to desire another shot at free agency. So we'll see how that goes with Michael King. But really excited about Michael King. As we know, he was riddled with injuries last year. Also, I kind of think there was something kind of more sketchy going on behind closed doors. Coincidentally, his wife was pregnant, and I know it could be hard during a pregnancy for a woman, so for a mother, so maybe Michael King wanted some time. There was no structural damage after X-rays and all that, and he just needed some time to help his wife, to be around his wife during her pregnancy, and that's very important for some. So, and maybe it needed to happen, and they just saw eye to eye with Mike, and they allowed him to, fake an injury, quote unquote, fake an injury, and let him just spend time with his wife. Because once the baby was born, he came back after that. And when I talked to him at dinner at the Diamond, he told me that he was fine and that he would be back soon. And he had no doubt in his mind that he was going to be back. So I don't. The mysterious injury. Every time they interviewed Mike Schilt, he acted all funny about the injury. He said some weird stuff about the injury. So, apparently he went to sleep, slept wrong, and he couldn't pitch pretty much half the season. So I'm really glad that he's back, signing with the Padres. I like what he's done with the King of the Hill Foundation, everything that he pushes with his wife. He's a staple in the community. I love Michael King. Love that $1 million smile. Glad he's here on the team, and glad he's going to be a Padre for the next year at least, and we'll see how it goes from there as I broke down the contract. But that's breaking news right here. And that about sums it up. I wanted to talk about A.J. Preller mainly, but this is just great news at the end of it. And to touch up on just everything that we talked about today, I'm not against A.J. Preller. I love A.J. Preller, but we do have to look at both sides. We do have to examine everything he's done. I think it's very important, but I think he's a rock star, like right on cue. Look at this. He found a way to re-sign King the way he structured that contract. You can't make these things up. I strongly believe in A.J. Preller. I will continue to believe in A.J. Preller, and I think that A.J. Preller will be the general manager that brings the San Diego Padres their first championship. And as always, let's fucking go San Diego, baby. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Filthy Friars podcast. And as always, let's fucking go San Diego, baby. Yee!